Welcome to Still Kicking with Billy Howard. It is Tuesday, August 1st, 2007, and I'm your host, Billy Howard. And as you can see, I'm still kicking, and I'm still playing at Fonte's Coffee on Grinstead Drive, and it's getting better and better every week, thank goodness, and people are really enjoying the really nice atmosphere there and the whole upscale comfort of the place and the good wine and the good beer and the great coffee. Well, it's all great. I didn't mean to, to say one was good and one was great. But anyway, I'm really enjoying it. I have fun. If you like classic rock, classic country, you'll like it. And if you like hearing music and still being able to hear your friends talking, Fonte's Coffee is the place at Grinstead and Lexington. So come on down. It's fun. Today, I want to talk about collusion, but not the Russian type. It's the collusion that no one ever talks about. I'm talking about the collusion between Democratic elites who run their party and the Republican elites who run their party. I like to call them the Republicrats, just to make it simpler and quicker. The goal of this collusion is to enrich the elites, subjugate the workforce, and destroy freedom and democracy. You don't think so? Well, stay tuned. Globalization and so-called free markets are the main tools the Republicrats are using to achieve these goals. And so far it is working beautifully. But there is one main obstacle that strikes fear and loathing into the Republicrat elite hearts. And before we discuss that, let's talk about this actual and obvious collusion. The number one bipartisan Republican collusion is globalized free markets. Yes, they talk about globalization and free markets all the time. Well, there is no such thing. It is a fiction. What it really is globalized crony capitalism, designed to dominate workers and destroy freedom. First, this fiction, this myth of free markets and market-based solutions, which we always hear about. I ask you, were the many, many bank bailouts free markets? No, in a free market they would have failed. The bailouts were pure corporate welfare or crony capitalism. With your tax dollars and treasury borrowing that you and your children are on the hook for. Are subsidies for the wildly profitable health insurance companies free markets? Are the thousands of pages of health insurance regulations free markets? No and no. They're all crony capitalism. Was the insurance company bailouts for AIG free markets at work? Again, no. Crony capitalism. Very exhaust the taxpayers. Insurance mandates, the IRS penalties for not buying health insurance, are they free markets? No. It's coercion. It's not free markets. There's nothing free about it. Is the XM Bank free markets? That's where we subsidize people who want to export and help them market their products. No, it is corporate welfare. It is crony capitalism. And the companies that do that and get that money, tax money, are huge corporations. Is the discount window at the Federal Reserve free markets or welfare for banks? It's the latter. And if you're not familiar with the discount window, that's where the Fed loans money to banks, billions and billions. And they loan it at a fraction of a percent. And the banks loan it at 2 or 3% and make the spread. And it's not even their money. And it's nobody's. It's invented money. It's fiat money that the Fed just creates. Well, what about the prescription drug program that George W. Bush gave to Big Pharma? Was that free markets? No. More massive corporate welfare. And remember, when the government pays for something like drugs or college, the price goes up. And we've seen that with drugs and colleges and health insurance, which they're also paying for. And that is, of course, classic fascism, when the corporation gets the tax money. So, you name it, the price is going to go up. How about the $3 billion for the Foxconn plant that's supposed to come to Wisconsin? Is that free markets at work? Nope. More corporate welfare and lavish corporate welfare. And it's welfare paid for by the taxpayers of Wisconsin for a Chinese company. They say it will create 3,000 jobs. That's $1 million per job. But the taxpayers can afford it, right? You can afford that. I wonder what Foxconn will pay the Wisconsin workers. They pay 85 cents an hour in China. Oh, and Apple, which will benefit the most since Foxconn is their main contractor, pays precious little taxes in the United States. They won't be paying for this $3 billion in corporate welfare. My city of Louisville, Kentucky, gave over $100 million to a Chinese company to build a hotel called the Omni. Our elites give our tax dollars to everyone but American workers. That's because the goal is to enrich themselves and subjugate workers in the United States and around the world. That's why the Republicrats are hostile to labor unions. The U.S. media is big business too. Huge corporations own the media. Huge multinational corporations. I heard even NPR just this week interviewing a business owner who hires illegals. I'm not going to say undocumented because they are illegal. And NPR hid his identity and portrayed this law-breaking lowlife as a victim. NPR didn't even ask this lowlife if he paid his illegal workers the minimum wage. They are so hating the working class. The for-profit media is even worse than NPR. The Republicratic globalists and their Republicratic media hate freedom and democracy. Our largest is colluding with the elites in the Chinese government to censor the Chinese people. It has removed software from its app store that allowed users in China to circumvent China's vast system of internet censorship. And they did it to enrich themselves and destroy freedom. The examples of this phony freedom and free trade are endless. We could go on and on. So, what do these Republicrats, these global fascists, fear and loathe? What is the first and only obstacle they have ever faced besides the American working class voter? Donald Trump, who was put there by the American working class voter, put in the Oval Office. That's why both parties attack him. That is why the Republicrats at the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and almost every broadcaster are so viciously attacking our president. The transgender ban, which came out this week in the military, and this comment about roughing up suspects, letting the police do that, that is cowardly, and it's terrible, and I don't approve. But the Republicrats and the Republicratic media doesn't really care about that. After all, they swept the Bush-Cheney torture quickly under the rug. Joseph Goebbels couldn't have swept it away any better or any quicker. No, transgender and the roughing up of suspects is just another club to beat Trump with. I suspect the cowardly transgender ban, and it is cowardly, like our military seems to always be, or at least our military leaders. And I believe that that was probably Vice President Pence's idea. That's a political club he wanted to swing. And it's very smart politically. They want the Democrats to go haywire over transgender because they know not that many people care. And I can tell you as a gay man, there are plenty of gays who think the transgender issue is hurting us. And even the ones that don't think it's hurting us, a lot of gays think that we should cool it for a while and let people get used to gay marriage before we shove the transgender thing into their face. So, I think Pence did this because it's the same anti-gay club he swung in Indiana when he did the religious freedom law. So, all the Republican elite are ganging up on Trump. Only his voters have his back. Only his voters care about democracy and freedom for the average worker. They are the average American. And the Republican bashing of the average American and their president is mean, it's toxic, and it's evil. The Republicans in Congress refuse to investigate the Democrats' collusion with Russian sources to produce the squalid Trump dossier released just prior to the election. Do you remember that? About what he was doing with prostitutes at a Four Seasons hotel in Moscow. It was opposition research that was so sick and so demented I can't even talk about it on a family show like Still Kicking with Billy Howard. Here are some of the toxic, hateful words the Pulitzer Prize-winning Wall Street Journal pundit Peggy Noonan, and Republican, used this week to smear President Trump in her weekend column. She's every Saturday in the Wall Street Journal. She feels threatened. Her global crony capitalist goals are threatened. And these are the words she used to describe our president: weak, sniveling, whiny, weepy, self-pitying, drama queen. Is that a gay slur? Plaintive, shrill little cries, limp. What's she mean by that? As in the male organ? Lame, blubber, queen for a day, non-stop drama queen, incontinent. I think Peggy Noonan is the one with diarrhea of the mouth. She wishes Trump was a strong silent type like Gary Cooper or Henry Fonda. Well, what is it, Peggy? Do you gals want emotionally available men or not? Make up your mind. Women like Miss Noonan used to be called castrating, well, it rhymes with rich. Can you imagine the Republican press ignoring the assassination porn if it was aimed at President Obama? Like the recent sign at the transgender ban protest in Times Square in New York this week. It was a sign that read, from top to bottom, it just had these single words: Lincoln, Garfield, McKinley, Kennedy, Trump. It was in chronological order, all of the presidents who were murdered, and they wanted Trump to be next. And that sign was right there in front of all the speakers who spoke that day, and none of them spoke out against it. And what would the Republican press do if it had been Obama at the Public Theater who was assassinated in their production of Caesar, the Public Theater in Central Park in New York? And what would the Republican press have said if that B-lister comedian beheaded President Obama? And Peggy Noonan thinks our president is shrill. The press ought to listen to themselves, especially Peggy Noonan. Fat chance. Elites don't do that. They don't reflect. They're perfect because they're elites. Fairness is not their goal. Their goal is to subjugate workers and destroy freedom and democracy. And they do want to destroy democracy. That's why they're trying to overturn this election. They rigged the polls for the election. They rigged the coverage. And they rigged the economy against average Americans and the president they elected. This Russian collusion is wholly unproven, but that's all they talk about. But we know the Democratic Party cheated. We know Debbie Wasserman Schultz cheated. And we know the press and their polls were wrong about everything concerning this election. This see no carnage Republican press, the global crony capitalists and their favorite crony corporations, Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon, they all collude to impoverish American workers and destroy freedom and privacy and democracy. That's why they don't want to investigate the election process to ensure that it's fair. If all these state election officials cared about citizens' privacy, like Allison Lundgren Grimes in Kentucky, they'd be marching against the Patriot Act, which I call the Cowards Act. They'd march against Google and Facebook and Apple. They don't give a hoot about the citizens' privacy or freedom, and it's obvious. The great elite Republican President Obama said to small-town Americans, quote, cling to guns and religion. His elite Republican wife said, quote, for the first time in my lifetime, I'm proud of my country. The elite Republican candidate, Hillary Clinton, called Trump's hardworking, military-supporting Christian voters deplorable. These are all words of subjugation. Republicans have no empathy for Americans who know they are being mocked. They're being mocked for working hard. They're being mocked for going to church. They're being mocked for serving in the military and for trying to instill moral standards in their own children. And they're being mocked for just trying to make a decent living so they can support and spend time with their children. Our elites see Trump voters as inferiors, and the Republicans wonder why they lost the election. And yes, the Republicans lost. Both parties lost. The Republicans hated Trump. Reince Priebus was the head of the Republican Party, and he hated Trump. He was leaking. He was trying to undermine his own party's president. Both parties hate President Trump. And Trump is not the problem. The problem is the attitude and views of our elites. Our elites are inferior human beings, fueled by greed and the desire for domination. They are all Republicans. Trump is right about one thing. What we have is not global free trade. It is unfair trade. It is what has destroyed the great American middle class. It is designed to impoverish American workers by lowering pay with global labor markets and shipping jobs overseas, while enriching the elite Republicans. In closing, President Trump's Secretary of Commerce, our Secretary of Commerce, has an editorial in today's Wall Street Journal. Wilbur Ross points out that China's tariffs are higher than those of the U.S. in 20 out of the 22 major categories of goods. Europe imposes higher tariffs than the U.S. in 17 out of 22 of the major categories of goods. And that's things like, agriculture and whatever, service, this and that. He also points out there are many non-tariff barriers to American exports that we do not require other countries to have. And he also points out that China is not a market economy. Calling Trump a protectionist is a lie, and it's a lie told by the Republican press. He seeks fair trade, not the destruction of the lives of working-class Americans and their freedom. Trump is not perfect. Far from it. He has flaws, many flaws. But we all do. I have many flaws. Especially the elite freedom-hating crony capitalist Republicans. I didn't vote for Trump, nor did I vote for either of the Republican parties. If we don't restore free trade, fair trade, when I say that, if we don't restore fair trade, privacy, the Fourth Amendment, and the balance of power between labor and capital, America will never be great again. We will remain toxic, ugly, and mean, like Peggy Noonan and the rest of the greedy, elitist, sneering Republicans. That's the real collusion, the elites of both parties against average Americans and their freedom and their prosperity and their president. This evil collusion has one name, Republican. It is the real collusion. We know who cheated in the election, the Russians for that dossier, and we know who is lying. The Republicans, the Republican elite and their elite Republican media, and they have the gall to call President Trump a liar, which he probably is. They're all liars. Thank you for watching Still Kicking with Billy Hauer. We'll be back next Tuesday, that is if I'm still kicking. Live up, be free, and remember, I love you, average Americans, and I do this show for you and all Americans. Hope to see you next week.